Hello, I'm Mrs. Neill, and this is Mrs. Neill's geometry lesson number 24, the vocabulary of circles. What we're going to be doing is taking more concepts about circles. Now, up to now, you've just been doing circles with a center point of C, and a radius from the center out to a point on the circle. So CA would be the radius. But we're going to expand, and there's a lot of information that you can do about circles themselves. But first we need to know the vocabulary of the circles. So here's our vocabulary words that we're going to be working on today. So if you need to stop the video to copy down the diagram or any of this, please do so. So let's look at our directions. The diagram below describes vocabulary words that are used with circles. And I'm going to go over our first one, which is secant. A secant is a line that intersects a circle at 2 points. So in this example, line L is the secant line. Now let's break that down. A secant is a line. It's got to be a line. It cannot be a line segment like this right here. It's got to be a line. So we have this line right here or this line right here. But it intersects the circle at 2 points. This line right here does not intersect the circle at 2 points. It only intersects it at 1. That is not a secant line. So our secant line right here is line L. It's a line and it goes through the circle and it hits the circle at 2 points. And those 2 points would be right here and right here. All right, next vocabulary word is chord. A chord is a segment, meaning it's a line segment, whose endpoints lie on the circle. Line segment DE is a chord. So a chord is a line segment. And this is D right here, that point, and right there. Now, secant is not a line segment. It is a line. But if I took the secant L right here and covered it up, that would be a chord right there. So you can have a secant line, and then within that secant line, you can have a chord. And the chord, though, is the line segment. So one is the line and one is the line segment. Next word is tangent. When you think of tangent, think of the word touches. It's going to touch the circle and then go on. So a tangent is a line in the same plane as the circle that intersects it at exactly 1 point. Line T is tangent. So if you notice, this line is on the outside of the circle. It touches it one place right here and just keeps on going. Okay, this line L is not a tangent because it hits the circle in 2 places. A tangent only hits it at exactly 1 point. So a tangent line is 1 point and it's going to be outside your circle. Which leads us to another vocabulary word, which is point of tangency. And that is the point where the tangent and the circle intersect. So point A is a point of tangency. So here's your tangent line, it's T, and your point of tangency is A. Okay, let's talk about the interior and the exterior of the circle. The interior of a circle is a set of all points inside the circle. Point X is the interior of the circle. So is point C. Point C is the center of the circle, and it's in the interior. And point X is in the interior also. Okay, exterior. The exterior of a circle is a set of all points outside the circle. Point Y is in the exterior of the circle. So the exterior is on the outside. Look at point Y out here. He's just floating around by himself out there. Now let's look at some other points. How about point E, D, and A? Are they in the interior or the exterior? Point E, D, and A. No, they actually are on the circle. They're not in the interior and they're not in the exterior. So if it's on the circle itself, it would be these points, E, D, and A right there. Okay, let's look at an example. Here we go right here. Here's our example. Looks a little bit different from the last one. And what we're going to be doing is finding those things right there. All right. So our secant line, secant is a line, has to be a line, and it has to go through 2 points on the circle. So that would be line Z right there. How about point of tangency? Tangency touches the circle, so that would be point B. How about a tangent line? Remember, tangent touches the circle and keeps on going. That'd be line K right there. How about a chord? Okay, this is not a chord. This happens to be a radius. The radius goes from the center to a point on the circle. A chord, 2 points hit the circle. So a chord would be line segment XY, or if you wanted to write it, YX. Either way is fine with me. Okay, a point in the interior of the circle. Okay, on the interior would be point P right there. And a point, I'm sorry, it said exterior. Okay, exterior. I'm wrong there. It'd be point R. Let me change that, point R. Now, the interior of the circle, let me get that right. That would be point P right there. And notice point B and X and Y are not in the interior, exterior, or the interior. They happen to be located on the circle. There is a difference. Okay, let's keep going. Let's talk about arcs and a central angle. Okay, there's a different definition of central angle and a basic definition of an arc. So a central angle is an angle whose vertex is on the center of the circle. Okay, we're going to look at all kinds of circles. And the vertex of the angle may be on the center, it may be on the circle, it may be outside the circle. So there's about 4 different ways that we're going to view angles and circles. But the very first one, and the one you're used to and you use the most, is the central angle. And it's right on the center. That's the center of the circle right there. So the measure of the angle is the same as the measure of the arc. And we'll get to more of that in just a minute. An arc is an unbroken part of a circle consisting of 2 points on the circle and all the points on the circle between them. So if you notice, a circle goes all the way around, and that is 360 degrees. But I may just want a portion of this circle. So I'm going to cover this up right here, and I want this right here, and it's an arc right there. And if I name that, it's going to be named arc AC. And when I name it, I make a little arc mark, AC, and that's my arc. The measure of that arc is 93 degrees. You don't do it like that. If I wrote that, that means line segment AB. And that's not the same thing. I want an arc. So I'm going to put a little curvy thing right there to delineate that it's an arc. Okay? So, right here, angle ABC is a central angle. Alrighty, and then right here, arc AC is a minor arc. Okay, then we're going to talk about minor and major and semicircle. So I'm going to move this over right here just for a second. There's really 3 kinds of arcs. A minor arc is really between 0 and 180 degrees. Remember, all the way around is 360. How much is halfway around a circle? That's called a semicircle. And it is exactly 180 degrees. And it is half of a circle. Okay, and then a major arc. Okay, it's going to be a lot bigger, and it is between 180 and 360. So a major arc is going to be greater than 180 and less than 360. So let's look at the arc on the other side here, ADC. A lot of time a major arc is written with 3 letters. And if I see 3 letters, a lot of times it will be a major arc. I know it's going to be a bigger number. So if all the way around is 360 degrees, so 360 minus 93 degrees, so arc ADC is going to be a major arc, and it's 267 degrees. And if I add up my major arc and my minor arc, I'm going to get 360. All right, with that information, let's do a couple of examples. And here's number 1. Look at that, and I'm going to erase this real fast. Alrighty, there's a circle. And if you notice, this goes straight through. That is a diameter. FJ is a diameter. And I know all the way down here, that's a semicircle of 180. So all the way up here on this top is a semicircle of 180 also. So it's asking, what is arc HJ? Well, arc HJ is very apparent. It's already written there for you. And so directly, it is just going to be 63 degrees. Make sure you put degrees, please. Okay, what is FGH? FGH. So I want all the way around to here. Okay, so what I can do is I can figure out what that's going to be. I have a semicircle. I can go 180 minus 65 minus 63, and that gets me 52 degrees. So I know that this right here is 52 degrees, and I want these 2 arcs right there. So I'm going to go 65 plus 52, and that's 117 degrees right there. Okay, let's keep going. We have one more example. All right, let's write down what we know on this right here. If I notice, see that little symbol? That's still a right angle symbol. That's arc is 90 degrees, that angle is 90 degrees, so the arc is CD is 90 degrees. Look right here, we have 2 sets of vertical angles. If that's 40, then this is 40. Notice we're using math, or we're using our geometry from, long time ago. Vertical angles, we used that a long time ago. Okay, so let's see. We want CDE. So we have got CDE. We want that arc right there. It's 90 plus 40. So 90 plus 40, and that's 130 degrees. Okay, now let's look at BCD. Where is that? BCD. It's those right there. Okay, so it's 90, and this one right here. What is that one? How can we find that? Well, if you notice, I'm going to cover up this half. See, that's a semicircle. So if I go 180 minus 90 minus 40, how much does that give me? That's going to give me 50 degrees left over. So this right here is 50 degrees. And BCD is going to be 50 plus 90. And that's 140. There we go. Okay, let's do one more. We have one more problem, and then I'm through. There we go right there. Okay, now I'm going to take this and I'm going to fill in what I don't know. If you notice here, these 2 angles here are vertical angles. Those 2 are congruent, so I'm going to go ahead and write 30 right there. Okay, and I'm going to cover this up. This part right here up. That's a semicircle. So if this arc is 30, how much is that one? It's big. 180 minus 30 is 150. That one's 150. Okay, now let's look down here. I'm going to cover that part up. This is another semicircle. and that's going to be 180. So 180 minus 105 minus 30 is 45 degrees. There we go. So now I'm going to go and see what they're asking. First of all, they're asking for LMN. Okay, LMN, which are these two arcs put together. So I've got 30 plus 45, and that gives 75 degrees. Write degrees down, please. Okay, LNP. So I'm at L, I go to N, and I go all the way around to P. You have to go in order. You have to go from L to N to P. You can't go LPN or any other order. I have to start at L, I go to N, and I go all the way around to P. So what arcs does that encompass? 45 plus the 30-degree angle, or 30-degree arc, plus the 150-degree arc. So add those three numbers up and you get 225. And that's definitely a major arc. All right, that is our lesson for today. I'm Mrs. Neill. Thank you for listening.